Book title: The House of Uncommon. Book summary: The House of Uncommon is part memoir, part manifesto, a deeply human exploration of what it means to belong, rebuild, and reimagine our collective future. Set against the backdrop of a fractured system and a fast-changing world, Nicholas van der Wansum takes readers on a journey from job site to justice, from lived experience to visionary policy. At its core, this book asks one radical question. What if society was designed for the people it leaves behind? Through stories, sketches, and systems thinking, The House of Uncommon proposes a new architecture for modern life, one where education is open, taxation is fair, and dignity is designed into every step. Drawing inspiration from both carpentry and citizenship, Nicholas lays down blueprints for a future that includes everyone, not just those with titles, wealth, or status. This is not just a policy book. It's a builder's notebook for nationhood, written by someone who never planned to write a book at all, but couldn't ignore what needed to be said. For anyone who has ever felt out of place, underheard, or overburdened by bureaucracy, The House of Uncommon offers both a mirror and a map. TOC located at the end of this thread. Part 1: The Theater of Power. Chapter 1: Laughter in the House. The cameras always make the chamber look larger than it is. From the public gallery, it's barely the size of a school gymnasium, green benches arranged like two opposing trenches, the air thick with the scent of paper, coffee, and tension. The speaker sits high at the center, black robes, powdered wig, gavel ready. On television, the effect is dignified; in person, it feels more like a stage. The session begins with ritual. Members rise, call out, "Mr. Speaker," as if invoking an incantation, and take turns performing outrage or defense. Each line lands to practiced applause or jeers from their own benches. The script never changes: accusation, denial, counteraccusation, procedural delay. When one member stumbles over figures in a budget report, hundreds of millions spent, millions missing, the speaker chuckles. Laughter ripples through the room. From the gallery, a few visitors shift uncomfortably. They've come from small towns or suburban ridings, expecting gravity. Instead they find levity. Somewhere outside these walls, that unaccounted spending might mean a delayed hospital wing, a cancelled housing program, a cut scholarship. Here, it's a punchline. The visitor's reaction, shock, maybe sadness, is the beginning of this book. It's the moment when the democratic stage reveals itself for what it has partly become: a theater of power whose actors mistake applause for accountability. The ritual and the mask. The design of Westminster-style politics is theatrical by intent. Its founders understood performance, order through ritual, hierarchy through costume. The mace, the wigs, the titles, right honorable, order, were meant to civilize conflict. In the 17th century, that formality separated debate from duel. But over centuries, the ritual hardened. The mask became the face. Political scientists describe the chamber as a competitive performance arena. Behavior inside it follows rules of dramaturgy: a script, the agenda, an audience, the media, and characters defined by opposition. The incentive is not cooperation but spectacle. Success is measured in headlines, not harmony. That's why laughter, jeers, and applause aren't slips, they're signals. They tell party members where the tribe stands. They tell cameras when to cut. The speaker's humor is part of the choreography, the safety valve that keeps a day's worth of hostility from exploding. Within the chamber, it reads as control; outside it as cruelty. Empathy lost in translation. To citizens, the laughter sounds heartless. To politicians, it sounds routine. This is the gap that defines modern politics, the difference between what behavior means inside and how it looks outside. Psychologists call this situational drift. Within closed systems, norms evolve until abnormality feels ordinary. A surgeon cracks jokes during a tense operation; a firefighter eats lunch beside the ashes of a home. It's not callousness but conditioning. Yet in politics, that same detachment erodes trust, because the victims of failure are still alive to watch the show. The people in that chamber are not monsters, they are professionals caught in a loop of incentives that punish sincerity. Show anger too early and you look weak. Show compassion too late and you look manipulative. The safest posture is ironic distance, so they laugh. From deliberation to performance. Political historian Bernard Crick once wrote that democracy is government by discussion. But in many parliaments, discussion has been replaced by display. MPs now speak less to persuade colleagues than to generate viral clips. Soundbites replace substance because attention, not argument, has become the scarce resource. The speaker's chair, elevated like a conductor's podium, was designed to moderate. But modern technology reassigns the audience. Every phone in the chamber is a camera, every line a potential meme. Governance becomes content. Sociologist Irving Goffman, who studied human interaction as performance, might have recognized question period as a masterclass in front-stage behavior, the polished, public persona that conceals backstage doubt. The laughter, the jeers, the winks, they are all cues in a centuries-old play whose audience no longer claps for the same reasons. Why citizens feel betrayed. When ordinary people watch and feel revulsion, they're not overreacting, they're witnessing the erosion of ethical empathy. Governance should mirror the governed, instead, it reflects its own reflection. Citizens crave authenticity, but the structure rewards artifice. Over time, that dissonance breeds cynicism, and cynicism is the slow rot of democracy. A recent OECD survey found that in many advanced democracies, fewer than half of citizens trust their legislatures to act in the public interest. In Canada, trust hovers around 45%. Each scandal, each televised smirk widens that fissure. When trust collapses, participation follows. When participation falls, accountability dissolves. The tragedy is cyclical. Detachment breeds apathy, which breeds further detachment. What the laughter reveals. The laughter that echoes through those walls is not always joy. Sometimes it's nervousness, sometimes fatigue. But symbolically, it's the sound of distance, between intention and impact, between the public and its representatives. It tells us that empathy has been outsourced, and the maintenance of power has replaced the meaning of service. The purpose of this book is not to condemn individuals, but to examine the systemic theater that shapes their behavior. The problem isn't that people in power are uniquely unethical, it's that the architecture of power dulls their ethical senses. When institutions demand performance, performers rise. When they reward reflection, statesmen appear. The curtain call. As the session ends, the speaker rises, offers a final procedural joke, and the bench is empty. Outside, the air smells of rain and exhaust. A few tourists snap photos. Somewhere beyond Parliament Hill, a nurse finishes a night shift, a teacher grades papers, a mechanic closes the garage. They've all earned their pay quietly, without applause. Inside, the cameras fade to black. Tomorrow, the play begins again. Closing reflection. Democracy survives not on the rituals of its chambers, but on the conscience of its citizens. The laughter in the House is a mirror. It shows us what happens when institutions forget who's listening. To clean that mirror, we must first dare to look into it, not to scorn but to see. End of Chapter 1. Laughter in the House. Part 1. The Theater of Power. Chapter 2.